appreciate it. It has been a crazy week and a half week. Insane. So I wasn't sure whether I wanted to start out what I wanted to start out with, but I'm going to go with. I'll tell you about my stuff in just a minute, but this ties in. But today I made sure that, as many of you know, I work with Donny Co Pet Clinic to, they have now neighbor care as healthcare coming in. So when we provide free vet care to animals of people who are low income or experiencing homelessness, we also have a healthcare provider there as well to see them. And so I'd asked our provider for this here. This is, and if I get emotional, there's a reason, but this here is Narcan. And this can save a life, right? And so the reason it is so important for me to get the word out and share about this is because the life being saved very well could be my child. And so I think it's super important to know what it is, maybe dismiss some myths and just really talk about it a little bit. So what this does is it reverses an opioid overdose. So um, I guess I should have like educated more about how it binds, but it stops the opioid receptor from binding, I think, to the opioid, and so it brings the person out. So I'm going to show you what it looks like. We're going to read the instructions, and this is the intranasal, so this is the one that goes in the nose, but they also have ones that you can get naloxone in, a little bottle and like a plunger needle, and that's for intermuscular use. So yeah, in case my son or maybe somebody in the building, hopefully doesn't, they OD, I have supplies on hand. So I could potentially save somebody else's kid, right? Ah, whew. So anyway, it looks like this. We're gonna take one of them out. There's two in here, but this is what it looks like, right? So you're gonna take the packaging out and you're gonna hold it like that. Have the middle part come up through your fingers like this, okay? And you're gonna insert it, but you want them laying back, okay? You want to just kind of tilt their head forward, and they're gonna be unresponsive. You don't like that's you see somebody ODing and they're not breathing properly, and you can't rouse them, then you can use this. And this will not hurt if the person has not taken opioids or whatever, other than delaying in any sense. This will not hurt anybody. Okay? So I want you to know that real quick. And you don't have to be afraid of giving it to somebody who is who is overdosing. Okay? Nothing that can get on your skin. Like, there's been so many myths perpetuated by so many agencies, but let me tell you, it's safe to give. Get the person on their back, lift their head a little bit. You're going to call 911, but give the first dose. You're going to wait and get them into recovery position, which is on their side, like this, right? With one knee over this one with that like pointed back, so if they throw up when they come to, it's not gonna choke them. And then you're going to, usually it's pretty immediate, but if the first dose doesn't work, like say they've taken a lot, then you can give it for every 3 minutes. You can give another dose until until emergency personnel arrives. We are seeing some ODs with that have other things added, like I think it's xylazine. And so when that's added, it it is also a respiratory suppressant. So it the Narcan will act on the opioid. But since xylazine is not an opioid, of course, it will not act on that. So that sometimes can be another contributor to that. But always, please carry it. There's no reason not to. Um, there is just no good reason to not have Narcan. You can get it at the pharmacy. I know that we get it for free around here. We have it in vending machines. Um, but when you think about potentially saving somebody's child so that maybe they can choose to get better another day, I think it's worth it. It's worth it to me. And as you all know, I've shared my story on this with you, so this is like gold to me. And I have 2 boxes, which is 4 doses, and I will continue to carry. I have another one in my coat pocket, and I will continue to carry around the city, and I will have it in my home. So, Narcan, save a life. It's not condoning anything, but it's giving somebody a chance to survive. Nobody should be dying. Okay, so hi Karen. Hi Mama Mode. I wanted to, the thing is I know that only like according to like the analytics, like I know that like only some people will listen to a very, very short time, right? Hi Max. And so I wanted to make sure that if any message got out, like before I talked about my week, that I could get this message out before they stopped listening. So I wanted to do this first. So, yay. Now on to the other stuff. As many of you know, if you listen to me lately, I have been really going through it. Seriously depressed, having a hard time taking care of myself, my environment, my work has been suffering. And usually, like in bipolar, it is very well. I'm going to speak for myself. Hi, Wayne. Thank you. I appreciate that. So speaking from my perspective, that I don't know where I was going with that. I started addressing comments. But anyway, I was depressed and just things were suffering, and I was usually with bipolar, I have waves, right? So even though I'm medicated, I'm usually very stable. I still get the ups and downs, but they're not as significant or life destroying, because unmedicated, those things will destroy me, my life, and everything I love. It will just all burn. And I'm not a fan of that, I have found out. So I like staying medicated. But it seemed like I was hitting a wall and I wasn't getting better. Like the depression wasn't lifting, and I'm angry and frustrated and, all of these things. So I know what to do when that happens because I'm very open with myself about things. And so I called my psychiatrist. And I'm like, well, first, actually, I sent her a message in my chart, which, got a call later. I love that about access to this, but also a lot of people don't know that the access like that is there. And hold on, access in the United States, if you're listening from another country, access in the United States is a word we use loosely because straight up, like, I had to explain to my grandkids the other day why we couldn't take their mom to the doctor because she doesn't have health insurance. So technically, her life doesn't matter a whole lot on the health aspect. Like, nobody cares if her mom's sick; she's still got to go to work. It was a rough one, and yeah, that was tough. But access, meaning that I I am disabled, so I have insurance. I have Medicaid, which is paid by this federal government, I believe, federal government. So that would be taxpayer dollars working for its citizens because we all should have the right to healthcare. Okay, I'm gonna get off my soapbox for a minute. Okay. But anyway, called my psychiatrist, right? And I was like, hey, so I'm used to the ups and downs. Like, I get it. I've had this for years. Like, but I'm not coming back up, and it's starting to concern me. I'm really worried that it's going to be forever, and I can't live forever here. I'm hanging on by a thread, right? Like, this can't be my forever. Like, this, I can get through it for a short amount of time, just knowing that it's gonna lift. But if this is it, like, I can't do this. Um, and so I called her, and she's like, okay, all right. She's like, this is okay. She's like, let's take a look here. And she's looking through my chart, and am I religious? Absolutely not. No. No, I'm not. Um, a lot of people think I am, though, but I'm not religious, and I have actually a lot of religious trauma from religious institutions and religious people. Um, but anyway, so, oh, hi, that one girl. So I called her, and she's like, how long have you been on your meds? And I've been on my meds for like years. So, they've worked well for me for a long time. But I didn't know that over time, you can build a tolerance, or they can lose efficacy, I guess. Um, so she's like, okay, so we cut one of my sleep meds, and we added another called Latuda, which Latuda is prescribed for schizophrenia or bipolar depression. And so she's like, it might take a long time, ways to work or whatever. I swear I was feeling better so quickly. I woke up because usually, like, on a normal basis, and it has gotten better with, like, I have a PTSD med that I take, but I wake up in the morning panicking, right? Feeling like I'm in danger, something's wrong. That's my normal morning. That's why I get my coffee. I just need everything quiet. I need things chill, because I get a little in my head in the morning until I can calm down. And I've been waking up not panicking, like, not panicking, like, just being able to, like, maybe for some of you, you don't wake up panicking, so this isn't like new, but it's like a whole new world. Like, I woke up, and I was just like, okay, all right, it's a day. Like, I can do this. Let's get up. I was like, you never. Oh my gosh. Going to the bathroom, I'm like, my mind's not screaming help. What? Ah. So I'm super hopeful that this is it, and because I don't like change a whole lot anyway. And so I don't ever want to, like, if a med works, and I think that I'm not alone in this. I think a lot of people, like myself, with mental health concerns or mental illnesses, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that as well. Um, I think that for myself, I went through so many, like, there is no treatment is a long process. There is no, like, magic pill. And I was hoping for a long time that there was just something magic words that they said, or a magic pill, and all of a sudden you're fine and everything's grand. And and that's not how it works. And so you have to go through a lot of trial and error. And sometimes that error can be worse than, like, the original. Not always, but you know. So you gotta go through this. You gotta try these different things. And so I'm not usually big on change. When I find one I like and it works for me, I'm like, that's it. That's that's what we're sticking with. And forgotten that yeah, it doesn't, sometimes things aren't meant to go all the way with you. So it is working. That's good. I do want to speak to another issue. So serious topics. But I want to talk about Mayor Adams and New York and the policy towards the mentally ill. I think it can be really easy to sensationalize horrific acts by saying and reaching for a why. And I say this because when we reach for that why, every once in a while we're going to find something that sticks out. Not every time, but a lot of times. And in our society, it is automatically assumed that if you are acting in a criminal manner, then you must not be functioning mentally in an optimal way, which is true. But those are very few. And so I had heard in one of my meetings, somebody was from there and said, "You're not from here. You don't know." And I was like, I don't have to be from somewhere to know what this does to people. Mental illness should only be diagnosed by a medical practitioner. It should never be diagnosed by a layperson or a police officer. And you should not make the assumption that the majority of people with mental illness are violent. Because if you really want to get real with it, the danger is to ourselves. We take ourselves out a lot. So so I had to point that out. It's just not okay to round up people like he's talking about doing. And he's talking about rounding up those that, and I asked in this meeting, I said, well, I don't mean to upset anybody, but if we're looking at commonalities, like, because this is what we're trying to do, right? There was a mentally ill man that had not had treatment, and he pushed a woman out in front of a train. She died. It was horrific. There is no excuse nor any reason that would make that okay. But immediately it was, well, look at these violent crimes happening. They all must be mentally ill. Therefore, mentally ill people don't know how to, they're incompetent or whatever is where that goes anyway. And I said, if we want to look at commonality in these crimes, we're going to have to talk about the big commonality. And that big commonality is gender. I think it's close to 80% of all violent crime is committed by men. And the reason that we would never suggest rounding up all the men is it's silly, and we have an understanding that the majority of men are not violent. Just the fact that, and I think we do need to address the fact that there is, whether that be societal or whatever, that there is such a large difference in that. We should address that at some time, but never would we round anybody up. And another reason we wouldn't is because they have recourse, right? So they would call their friends, the lawyers, this and this and this. But with somebody who's mentally ill, more often than not, when they're approaching a position of a court or something like that, that is looked at as a negative. And I tell my friends this a lot. I'm always like, why is it, like, I'll be getting introduced and I've got a list of titles. Like, I got a long list of titles. It's great. Not always. Sometimes it's embarrassing, but I'm just like, I don't care. Just read the first two. But I got a list. And so reading through all that, and then I lost my place again. Oh yeah, the mentally but when something bad happens, right? Like immediately it's like if I chose to go out and just do some crazy off that actions that hurt a bunch of people, I'd be like, woman with a long history of mental illness goes out. Like the narrative immediately, woman with a long history of mental illness. But when you're getting introduced onto a stage, you know what they don't say? They don't say woman with long history of mental illness that has overcome all of this to do these amazing things. That's just a side note for when they want to use it, right? And that's really hard because it does not define me. I talk about it. I want to educate people about it because I think, especially in a society and in a country where healthcare is a for profit system, and then we wonder why people are struggling so heavily, it's because like I was talking to Shelly. I said I can never be off Medicaid, and she's like, "Why?" I said my medications are close to $10,000 a month. Like that's a lot. I can't even afford 20% of that. There's no way. So you would have to get the meds to be able to work to keep the meds. To it's just this crazy. Oh my gosh! Hold on, guys. I've got to. There we go. I think I hit that. Bam, did it. Yeah, figured this out. Um, so I think that, we should really be talking about our narrative around mental illness and really educating each other and our families and others about the fact that it can be managed. But if I was embarrassed, if I still felt like I did 20 years ago, right? And was because I was terrified. They would say, well, hey, you've had a long history of trauma, you've had several surgeries, you should probably be in therapy. And I was like, absolutely not. I'm a single mother. They will take my children. I have to appear completely competent at all times because that was the prevailing stigma, stereotype, and attitude. And unfortunately, that kept me from help until I was a hot disaster. And I'm healing now, but I want others to have that access long before that, before it gets to be an emergency. Um, exactly. And even if they were trained in mental health, reaching a diagnosis is a process with a patient. The crisis, what we keep operating on is crisis care, and we never get to the long term. And if we keep throwing, it's like homelessness, right? So we have $1,000 problem and we put $5 on it. Well, the next year we're like, okay, well, we got, a $1,995 problem, and we're like, oh, $10. And we're surprised when it goes up to, more than we could ever. We're like, how did it get so bad? It's because we keep putting it on the back burner. And now with, COVID happening, and I think education as well on mental health disorders. I think that's been really big, is the power of social media to educate people and just the really easy access. But that can also be harmful because of misinformation. So I guess six of one, half dozen of the other. Hi, Jess. I think, did I say Jess? Um, Wayne, keep your chin up. Thank you. This time I have PTSD and mental issues. Keep strong. You're not alone. Thank you. That one girl. Pretty sure most of us have some type of mental health issues. Okay. I agree with that, but I think that one girl, I agree with you. I think that, and I hear that a lot too. I think that gets misconstrued though as mental health issues versus mental illness because it's just like a cold is not in comparison to cancer, right? So I think that these are very distinct and different illnesses. Some overlap, but I think that when we're talking about mental health, I think that we need to, like, it's the same as a wellness check, right? We need wellness on our mental health as well, not just when there's a crisis coming in. And I think that we don't want to water down the fact that these are debilitating diseases sometimes. I know for me, it's disabling in so many ways. Do I work around it? Yeah. Have I found a niche market? Hell yeah. But that's an outlier. That's doing stuff that, is not everybody can do that. And so because I hear that a lot from people, it's like, oh, well, everybody is crazy. It's like, well, eh, are you? Yeah, I guess. You know, I have seasonal depression. I also have panic attacks. That's rough. Panic attacks are really, really tough. Um, I also have I have CPTSD, but I actually, um, finally, I have like a med to help with the nightmares. So that's been super helpful. Lately, I don't know if you still get flashbacks, but like some flashbacks can be really bad, especially around the holidays. I think that it's really, really tough. And, sometimes even in the course of my work, I'm really coming into contact with people who've been in very vulnerable situations similar to what I've been in the past. And sometimes it can pull my mind back there. Um, but I wouldn't say that anymore. The flashbacks are where I'm actually there. It's more of a, and then I can let it pass and go. So I hope that yours, you find a treatment that works. Noodle said, I don't see why they would need to say that you have a long history of mental illness if you commit crime. I'm always like, with red hair and brown eyes commits crime. I know, right? It's ridiculous, but you'll see it like on, oh, it's a big thing now. So if you look up New York and Mayor Adams' policy with mental illness, you'll see what's going on there and why it's so concerning. Um, so on another positive note, so one of you, my viewers, found me and emailed me, and I went to breakfast and had the most amazing conversation. So one of my interests, and I don't get to like my friends already know that I'm gonna nerd out about certain things, so they just don't like they're like, yes, yes, you've told us 1,000 million times, yes. So one of my little hyperfixations is on contaminants in when you are unhoused and you're living outside. You are also, if you are in any kind of urban area, living in contaminants that have built up sometimes over hundreds of years, right? So some of these chemicals cause neurological disorders, mental illnesses, like all sorts of things. And so I didn't know, like, I've been really looking into this for a long time. And he works with pollution. And I it was wonderful. It was so wonderful. And so I got to chat and like totally nerd out on like helping people with like learning how we can not only mitigate but like show people what what's going on, why it's so, because I don't know why, but apparently I still have to convince people that our housing and our quality of housing has a very significant impact on our physical health. And those are called social determinants of health, by the way. Um, but that's a big word for just saying, hey, without the proper environment and the proper care, you can die. And I always think that that should be obvious, but sometimes it is not so obvious, and we need to explain these things. I'm gonna address some comments. Um, Spot on mental wellness checks with no shame attached. Exactly. Yep, it's still too much snooty looking down at those who struggle. Right. And if you were a while ago, like you would hear, usually younger women who would be like, "Oh my God, I'm so bipolar." It's like that mood swing is not it. I don't like, yes, it does involve swings, but like, I remember one time I was in the manic is, of course, like for my bipolar, I know that manic was the stage that I'd live for. Manic's fun. But manic's not really fun because it makes you think you can do dangerous stuff, right? So you're thinking, I'm on top of the world. I feel amazing. I'm going to fly high. And I literally was going to climb on the roof during the rain to take pictures of the stars. No, no. But my mania had me convinced that that was the best time. It was the prettiest. Everything was glittering. Like a little bit more in depth. So sometimes it can be used to, we can do these things to kind of water down different things and pick different ones. Depression is one of those as well. Um, I think we don't even know a whole lot. Like I was shocked when I started getting really good treatment, and they were like, I was like, I'm not depressed. And they're like, well, you're obviously depressed. I'm like, I'm not depressed. I was like, I don't feel sad at all. I was like, I don't feel anything. And if I do, I'm just mad. And I would rage. I had like, I later come to find out it's called bipolar rage. And it's a little off of that. And I found out that there's different expressions, right? Like not everybody is the same. And there are different ways of people showing these things, and that's why it's really important to have somebody trained who's trained in diagnosing and knowing what these different illnesses do. um have I worked some on my new painting that I talked about last time? Yes, I have. Yes, I have. I have totally reworked all of it, and I am finishing up on it. I'll show you in a little bit. Hey, Corey. Jess, my colleagues and me stated that we know so many relatives who have had depression. Yep, it was really surprising because when we thought about it, it was such a great amount of people. Yes, absolutely. And that's part of the thing too, because there's so many causes to depression. There's, like that one girl mentioned, seasonal depression. There's depression that's linked to other mental illnesses. There's depression by itself. There's major depressive disorder, which I have, along with I've got a list. I've got like a whole cabinet. And yes, mindfulness, all of that. I promise you, believe me, if it is anything that isn't connected to meds, I absolutely tried it. Meds was a last resort. Well, not a last. Okay, I'm gonna forego the dark humor because there was a great joke there about last resort, but I'm not. I'm gonna leave it. um, but yes, depression is it's huge. And when we're all going through things that are really like in our society, we've just gone through a really rough time, right? We're still going through a rough time. There are millions of people who are struggling, starving. Like we don't live in such a great place right now, world wise. There's a lot happening. There's climate change, there's wars, there's all of these things. And we know about it even more. And we're more and more educated, I would hope, on how these things affect everybody else. So I think when we're seeing large portions of our population with depression, we need to take a look at the issues that are facing us as a society, because I think many of us and our systems work in similar ways to certain stressors. So I would definitely like I was discussing with Matt, air pollution. Air pollution. I wasn't saying air pollution. I was more on the ground, but mental illness was always so taboo when I was younger. Me too. And now I'm just learning to speak out about my stuff with people. You know what helped me with that? Frontal lobe injuries, no lie. Like where I got my brain injury, I don't know if you can see, but like there's a huge scar here. And so when I hit here, and I had a subdural hematoma. So this is your frontal lobe. So I lost all filter for a long time. It was very embarrassing to take me anywhere. I would just say things that really honestly should have stayed in my head. I should have had that discussion up there before allowing it to just like pop out. And so now I am just a chronic oversharer. And I have hopefully, I wanted to use it for positive, right? Just not, making people uncomfortable in like social situations, which it's great for. But I wanted to do some good with it. So I felt like, okay, I have very little filter, so I don't experience what I experienced before, which was shame or embarrassment or any of those things. I just don't feel that anymore. So I can talk about things completely open and honestly that have happened to me without feeling that many times. Sometimes I do, not very often though. So that helped me a lot, just be able to talk about all of it. Um, let's see. I would suggest you to give responses to your fans sometimes too, because I don't see you reply to anyone. Okay. Thank you for your tips. Bye. That one, girl. My panic attacks got worse when wearing masks started. I'm bad claustrophobic. That can, yeah, that's crazy. I didn't. The only thing that masks do is it's just uncomfortable. Like it didn't cause anything. My clothes can cause a panic attack. Like I've had panic attacks over ill-fitting clothes, but never the mask. um, let's see. Hi, Mandy. Haven't caught you in a chat for ages. You're looking and sounding great. Thank you. Happy to see. I caught the dark humor that you see, right? Right, because it wasn't the last one. What was the last? Okay, nope, not going there. I'm glad you caught it though. Marching Giant, hi. I'm logging into your chat after a long time. Been going through some tough times myself, but you had a dog with you when you first started. Wonder where it is. Rowan! Robot! Miss Rowe! Come here! Rowan! Rowan! Please? Please come here. Rowan! Seriously. Not... Rowan Marie! Okay. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. No, come here. Come here. Somebody wanted to see you. They wanted to say hi. Hi. Hello. How are you? I interrupted your nap, huh? Yeah, I just forgot. You're the star. You're the sleepy star. Okay. She's there. And then Raja's behind me. If you didn't guess, I'm not necessarily the boss. She is. Hi, Kay. That one go. Well, as far as oversharing on anything else, I've never had a filter. And that's actually, the filter is produced by your frontal lobe. That's what gives us that ability to, like, because now, after I, of course, went through neurological rehab, now I have a filter. It's not as great as, like, I do really well in virtual environments now because they have chat bars. So I'll just go into the chat and I'll keep my video off. Because you can read everything that's on my face. So we're not doing video. I'll just hurt people's feelings with my looks sometimes. So no. But what I'll do, I used to like get really excited and hit the unmute button to say what I got to say and interrupt everybody. I have found that that's just not something I want to be doing. So now I stick to the chat and I'm very good about keeping it muted. Except for today, I had to say some things off of mute. But yeah, I'm the Milton toaster idea pops in my head, out my mouth as a putard. Yeah, frontal lobe. They put a cast on it. I've had a attack. Claustrophobia isn't a joke. No, I have known people that have it. I have never. That is one thing I've never struggled with. Thank God. I have. I don't think that anything I have really classifies as a phobia. Um, yeah, I don't really have maybe agoraphobia, but not so much. I like being home a lot, a lot, a lot. Rowan is like, you don't have, then you need me, don't do I really? That's exactly what she was doing there. She knows. And she also knows that I'm talking and there's nobody here. So it's either I'm talking to myself or I'm talking to a camera. And she does not like being in front of the camera. Whereas Raja girl does not care because she is just the sweetest little bean. Are you the sweetest bean? She's actually she's tiny, tiny, but she's our household little terrorist here. She runs us. I love having my animals. It's a big deal. So okay, so we've moved on to mental illness, mental health, homelessness, and contaminants. Now we're gonna go into how many blankets I use. So onto like the meds are starting to work. So I'm like, okay, I'm focused. Now I've got to get through all of the tasks that I've had piled up, right? This depression, haven't been finishing tasks, haven't been oriented, can't focus, all of that. So now I can focus and I'm like on it, on it. Pull out bolts of cloth, get all the blankets, start getting them made. My fingers went numb. I made so many blankets, but they got done and I was super excited about that. We helped a guy with 6 kids figure out some things with his dog. I made sure that we connected him with another person. Of course, Jaja. She's amazing. And she's just going to envelop that family with love and support because 6 kids at the holidays, that's rough. That's really rough. And they've lost a parent and now they're homeless. And so it was really important to just, make sure that when we are making contact with people, we are identifying ways to be supportive in the best way. And honestly, any kind of family like that, it's an immediate like Jaja because she just wraps them in her love. She's amazing. Um, Yeah, and actually, I saw your comment, that one girl, and that's actually what we're talking about, like with the frontal lobe trauma can cause damage to the frontal lobe as well. It's not just TBIs. It like having a traumatic upbringing can also cause damage in that area. Um, so let's see, Rowan. Oh, kicked out. That is so cruel. Yeah, that's the United States is great for that. I've actually heard, and that's actually something that, I've heard people say, and I think when I was younger, I probably did too, like, oh, I was a bad kid or whatever. I was bad as a teenager. It's like, you were a child, okay? Like, no one, like, I was talking with my daughter one time and I was like, she's like, as teenagers, you just didn't engage much. I was like, yeah, because like I was on my own at that age, so I didn't understand needing care at that age, you know. And then I was like, these are children. They think with children's minds, and you were like, when I was that age, thought with a child's mind, no matter how grown up I thought I was just a child with a lot of trauma. Marching giant. Thank you. So anyway, so we got the blankets done. We have found, okay, lovely, lovely. We have distribution. So my truck is broken, so that's been like a real sore point, right? Is even quit like asking for donations because like, what am I gonna do? So I found one of our wonderful ladies from HCHN is that she is going to pick things up and distribute them out to like the encampment, like the tents and things like that. The ones that, really just don't get those things. So we have got a partnership going on. And then I was asked to be a VIP at an event on Saturday. And the big thing is that they're going to come and they're all donating supplies for the unhoused. So I rented a vehicle. So I'm going to pack the vehicle full, get out what I can. And then also, I have a load of supplies ready to go to two of our medical clinics that serve a lot of unhoused individuals. So there are really good things going on out there, guys. And if you are experiencing homelessness, I know it feels like sometimes nobody cares, and you know, it is it is not easy to see those with privilege such as myself sitting in somewhere warm and safe to tell you that we're working on it. But there really are thousands of people who care very, very deeply, and many of us who have been in that situation. So, if you are, Lucian, let's see. I think my suggestion was not right. That's why she said bye. I just want it to be more engaging with the viewers in the comments in the other videos. I don't know whether I was able to. Let's see. I'll explain myself or not. Okay, I understand what you're saying. I get it. I get about the engaging with the comments and how to do it better. I think that the issue is that I have been doing it a long time. I know that there are a million ways that I could do better, that I could be more engaging, that I could be funnier. I can do my makeup, I can have lighting, I can have a background. There are all these things that I could do that would make this vlog take off. It'd be amazing. But I come and I show up just how I am. And if that means that I don't respond sometimes and that I'm not the vlog for somebody, that's okay. I get that. But I appreciate the suggestions for improvement. I do. But I just want you to know that with those suggestions comes work. And I love coming on and talking with you all and sharing and just being present. And when I have to do things such as make sure my hair is right, or if I'm not being day old makeup, or wearing a shirt that says note to self, you're doing great, because I need a reminder in the mirror every so often, right? Like there's a million things that I could be doing better. And I'm just going to do me. And yeah. So this is it. This is me, and this is how I am. And yes, there are going to be times I'm just not going to be communicative. I will, but know that I do read them and I do hit the heart, unless it's like if I don't, I didn't see it, or I didn't like it. There are those possibilities. um, let's see, some famous musicians. Oh, wait, hold on. I wouldn't trade my musician family for anything. Still friends with most of them 30 years, 7 years. That's lovely. That's wonderful. Oh, thank you, Marching Giant. Let's see. Explain with slip or not, but it's okay if you don't buy. Okay. So musicians, you just be you. Yes, I just be me. Be yourself. Do not change because we like you the way you are because you're real. Thank you. I appreciate that. Good things are happening because you have not forgotten. I believe that. And actually, that was that was one of the good things that happened. I got asked to be on the advisory council for Home Housing Narrative Lab. And so I'm really excited about that, because I think that the words we use is important, and we need to be very careful about even unintentionally shaping a narrative that isn't truthful. So you could do or you can be. I'm happy you choose to be you. Thank you. And I appreciate your email so much. I really do. Um, yeah, so today, oh yeah, I got that good news. So, and then today I was in a meeting, and at first I was worried it was gonna be a hostile meeting. I'm not even gonna lie. I was concerned. Um, because it was some business owners that are very frustrated about really not having the time or the energy to understand the depth of the issues that our cities are facing, and just some misinformation that has been unintentionally reinforced by our outreach efforts. What? So the issue is that there's a narrative going along saying, well, they don't want services, they don't want help, they just want to live like this, and like, and I was like, I would say that the majority of people, if you walked up and said, hey, I got keys, would go with you and take those keys and go have a place. And they're like, well, no, but like everything is on crisis, right? So people want long-term results. They want to know that their money is making a long-term impact. But we've let the ball go for so long that now we are dealing only in crisis mode, because that's all the money is there for, is crisis mode, unless we can figure this out. And so we had a real meeting of the minds today. And I was like super impressed because I was there by invite, actually, from one of the business owners who I had spoken to. We'd met, and I was just really, while she held some beliefs that I knew were not true, I was really floored by her wanting to learn. Um, she said, I don't know, and I know you do. So could you teach me? And that was so huge. And I was like, it's okay to not know. But what's not okay is hurting people because we don't know. And she was all about getting everybody together and getting them in this meeting so that we could really talk about and discuss the realities of what we're facing. Because I think sometimes when you're working with nonprofits and there's funding in the mix and funding is so tight, that it tends to be a little bit of a defense position rather than the fact of, hey, we're full up. Like all services are full. Like we're only being able to take a trickle because it's just we're operating on crisis mode. So that was actually really good. It was amazing to see people come in and really engage. Yay. Let's see. You make a short video of your story. Open a TikTok account. I do have a TikTok account. I'm not trying to get viral though. Cuz I don't think that I don't that's I look at viral, okay. When viral things happen, it's off the cuff. Rarely do I ever see anything go viral where the person meant the video, right? It's just them being them. And that's the beauty of it. So, like, I had no idea, right? When I was under the bridge, I had no idea that video was going to go viral. No clue. I I looked a mess. I didn't know, frankly, I didn't know who would see it. And it turns out a lot of people have seen that video. So much so that I had to talk to one of the organizations I work with because they put it up as a homeless woman strives to stay positive. And I'm like, hey, so that's me. And I also work on your guys' newsletter. I'm a member of your advisory council, and I'd like to just, what are you doing? Like, I'm cool with you sharing it. It raises awareness. But maybe you could mention my name because you know me. I'm not nameless and faceless. But thanks. Let's see. So I'm not really interested in being viral. I want to get the things I need for my people. That is huge. I will join anything. I I have now joined our consumer review panel for Seattle Public Utilities. I'm not kidding. I will try to join anything to try to get my people what they need. I don't know what venues like I need to be fighting in, and if one doesn't work out, I move to another one. I joined the Human Rights Commission, got voted in there, found out that they weren't doing anything really, and I was like, this is not getting my people anything. This is not doing anything for me or anybody else. So I dropped it. Like I really am about it as a lifestyle. um so yeah, I can't think about like how to go viral. So that's yeah. Hi, always good to see you. Good to see you. Good night, that one girl. Have a good night. You look beautiful, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. Giant Herbie Hurt. You can also hit like and share the vlogs. Right? Good night. I just started to work with a coffee next to me. Yes. All right, guys. Yeah, you're already doing great with your communication. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I should probably thank my speech pathologist. I think I did thank her though. She was pretty cool. Yeah, so and actually that's I've done talks on aphasia and what that's like, and and that's the thing, right? Because like there are times that I get a little scared because like I said, in our society, to admit that you're mentally ill or that you have a brain injury, for a lot of people they stereotype that to mean incompetent in some manner or lesser. And so sometimes when I give these talks, I get a little like, ah. But I gave this one, and this lady came up to me, and she had aphasia, and she was crying. And I was just like, I just, I remind my, those moments remind me to not shut up, keep going. And so thank you for bringing that up about my communication because it's actually a really big deal. Let's see. Yes, I imagine I've been on here for like an hour, so it probably is time to go to sleep. Oh, sleep patterns are so important. Oh my gosh. So. Okay, before I go, though, one more thing. So our building we have like two maintenance guys that are just like amazing, right? So they've been like on their stuff and fixing things and being on it. And so our manager decided to have a door decoration contest, right? So they'll judge it on the 24th, and there's like a small gift card, but there is. So I am going to be doing a door decoration, and I was thinking about doing some videos of that. I was like, I have all this canvas, and I can paint. So this will be so cool. It's gonna be so much fun. And so yeah, we're gonna have a great time. Let me talk about world issues. This deprecation for common people. Yeah, well, they're human rights. So, all right, guys, good night. I appreciate you all. Thank you for sitting and talking with me. I always like feel great afterwards. Bye.